running yourself too lean in your cash flows and then not being able to go restock your inventory.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's ultimately, that's what it comes down to. Are you able to replenish in a timely manner without overstocking so that you don't run out of cash? At the same time, you don't run out of inventory. And
Right.
that is the ultimate challenge. I always tell people, you want to sell online, look, you do things right and there's demand for your product, you got the right price point, you're going to be successful selling. That's not the issue. The issue is inventory, because it needs two things that is very hard to have in place. Number one, all the knowledge you need to accumulate and build your replenishment algorithms. Number one. Number two, enough cash so that you can keep buying, because there's like 4 or 5 month lead time by the time you bring it in and all that stuff, and FBA transit. You've got, so it needs finance, which means that even if you're running an extremely healthy business model in terms of tacos and your landed cost and all that stuff, it will still take you 6 to 8 months before you can take a penny from the operation, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Depending on how fast you want to grow.
Yeah, exactly. So it's always a challenge.
Yeah.
So
Just one point there, the inventory planning is a whole other beast to talk about. And you can get very scientific about it. Like let's create a forecast. Like Amazon for vendor is generating, your P60 to P90 forecast distributions down to the ASIN level. Sellers have always been a bit blind to this, which, we get the request quite a bit of like, can you build a forecasting model for this? Which, yes, but that's like a huge investment. And we know it's going to be wrong because every forecast algorithm is wrong.
right.
I think Amazon at some point, they're doing the supply chain by Amazon that launched last year. I think at some point they're going to start generating a forecast for sellers as well. Whether or not I'm right, don't know. Nobody's told me that, but it just seems logical. If they're going to have optimized inventory footprints for sellers, they need to be generating a forecast.
Well, they are doing something, and I'm told by some sellers that it predicts fairly accurately.
They're doing
But
something, but they're not publishing it anywhere, right?
no,
They're
they're not.
keeping, right? So in the short term, this is kind of a wait and see for us. I would love for them to release that data, have parity with the vendor side. But for brands today, like if you understand your vendor lead time, right? If you just follow the supply chain back, okay, you've got a third-party manufacturer. If you drop a PO, what's their time to production? Once it's produced, what's their time for you to receive it? Once you received it, what's the turnaround time for you to be able to ship that into Amazon? Okay, so is that 2 weeks? Is that 6 weeks? Is that 3 months? Right? If you have that and you essentially understand, here's my lead time, right? And then if you're looking at your current inventory at Amazon, and the challenge here is like predicting seasonality is always going to be the problem. So you can't take eyes off the road here. But if you just understand what's my weeks of cover and set a threshold, like I've got 6 weeks of lead time that I want to plan for. I want to set an alert that I get notified at when I've got 8 weeks of cover based on my trailing 30 days of sales. Then I at least have a prompt to go dive in and say, do I actually need to take action on this and get ahead of that PO? I think that it's very difficult. Amazon is doing some things to make this more apparent. I don't think it's hard to find, and it kind of gets buried in all the noise and the alerts that Amazon sends your way. But I think that like especially if you're in charge of the operations, like just understanding your lead time, understanding your current weeks of cover, that's going to fluctuate as you get spikes in demand. Accounting for that, you just need that signal to say, oh, I'm getting lean here. Let's go dive in and make a decision on whether or not we need to place an additional PO to support this demand based on not just here's what the data said, but any recent trends in the business.
You know what else is also making things complicated because of this whole idea of offering more value and then in the process increasing the average price,
Mhm.
item price. People have packs and bundles.
Yep.
So of course they are producing them on the fly as they make up their FBA shipments. So now they've got the components in stock, but not the actual final product.
Mhm.
So having that pipeline of potential assembly item
Yep.
versus the individual components, and of course the predictions or the forecast will be on the final assembly item. But
Yep.
of course,
Yeah,
so
that's the
anyway,
sub-assembly problem.
yeah, yeah.